Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, joined today for the first time by Aiemann Zahabi, who returns to action at UFC 315, facing Jose Aldo. Aiemann, it's an absolute pleasure to sit down and chat. How are your emotions ahead of your return?
Oh, everything is great. I'm feeling really good. I'm excited. Most importantly, I'm
Mm.
excited. I can't wait to go out there and do it.
Well, I was going to say how excited are you to perform in front of the Canadian fans, but double checking your record, this will be your fifth fight in 9 UFC fights in front of the Canadian people. So this must feel more normal than not for you in your career.
Yeah, it feels more normal for sure. I love fighting in Canada. The first time anybody ever chanted Zahabi was in Edmonton when I fought Pedro.
Mm.
I felt like it was a great honor, and I'm hoping that the Montrealers give me a nice welcome like they did in Edmonton as well.
In your opinion, is there one particular fighter? Because I believe, to my knowledge, it's yourself and Jasmine Jasdavicius who are the two currently ranked Canadian fighters. Is there one particular fighter that the Canadian fans are pinning their hopes to for a potential title challenger in the future?
Oh, I don't know who they like the most, this and that, but I think she's got a huge following, which I'm really happy for her. I think Jillian Robertson's doing really well too. The guys, we kind of, we slipped up a couple of times, but the guys are making it back. I think me, Charles Jourdain are really
Mm.
leading the way for Team Canada. Mike Mallet, of course, as well, and a bunch of other guys coming up as too.
GSP is quite clearly number one on the pound for pound list of Canadian greats. Who would
Yeah.
get 2 to 5 spot in your mind?
Oh man, that's hard. I don't mean to hurt people's feelings, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys who've accomplished so much. A lot of guys have fought for the title from Canada, but not too many ever. And no one has ever won a UFC title other than GSP, I think, except for Carlos Newton. So I guess we can put Carlos Newton up there.
Mm. Yeah.
He was a legend, man. Dragon Ball Jiu Jitsu. I remember he used to
Mm.
do that thing, and that was the coolest thing when I was young. I used to watch him. Thought he was great. Really ahead of his time, Carlos, in terms of skill. We're all roundedness was nice. A lot of other guys fought for the belts. Who else fought for belts? I think Mark Hominick is up there. He fought for the belt
Mm.
against Aldo, which was a
Yes.
great fight. He did a really good job in that
Mm.
fight. Um, was it TJ Grant who was supposed to fight for a belt, but he didn't end up getting
Yes.
one,
Yes.
right? Because of concussions and stuff. But he was on a tear. I would have loved to see him fight for the belt. David Loiseau fought for a belt, which was great. One of my teammates. And who else? Another good Canadian.
Rory, maybe.
Oh, Rory, of course, man. Oh my God.
I
Yeah,
saved you.
Rory,
I saved you
Rory,
there.
yeah, yeah. Rory was up on the cards against Robbie Lawler, man.
Mm.
I can't believe, yeah, he slipped my head for a second there. Yeah, 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 yeah. But he ended up becoming world champion after in PFL. No,
Mm.
sorry, in Bellator. My fault, my fault. I
Mm.
meant to say Bellator. So yeah, he's probably up there. He's probably number three.
Mm.
So I'll put GSP, Carlos Newton, Rory. Yeah, GSP, Carlos Newton, Rory, and then I guess I'll put TJ Grant, and then I'll put Hominick.
For anyone who we haven't mentioned or Eamon hasn't mentioned, I'll apologize on his behalf because there's always somebody that you're going to have
Yeah,
forgot.
there's
So I
there's
didn't.
so many guys,
Mm.
and they're all great. And then sometimes like, actually the after the man, one thing that hurt my feelings a little bit. I kind of took it personal. I went to go watch the UFC in Toronto, and all the men lost. The Canadian men lost,
Mm.
and people were making this joke like it was all over Twitter. It was like the worst base in MMA being Canadian or something like that. It was brutal, bro. That one cut deep. It cut deep. But we've had so many guys
Mm.
reach the top of the UFC. Just not too many that have won the belts. But we're right there. We're a fight country.
We're right there, and obviously this massive fight coming up for you in a couple of weeks' time. Can I ask what was your first reaction when the name Jose Aldo was presented to you?
Yeah, I was excited. I was actually in the car with one of my friends, new teammates, Enrico Kill, and I told him the name. He was like, "You gotta take it."
Mm.
So we were all excited, and for us, obviously we wanted to watch tape before. And when I saw for us the next day, he told me, he's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Listen, it's a win-win for me." I'm like, as long as I go out there and perform, no one can say anything about me. I'm fighting
Mm.
one of the greatest of all time, so it was a great opportunity for us. Like, you're right, man. This is a good opportunity, so let's take it.
A lot of
I'm
fans
just very
on
happy.
a lot of fans online have kind of, and I'm sure you may have seen this, have been surprised by some of the matchmaking of Aldo since he's come back, fighting up and comers like yourself, Rob Font, Mario Batista, guys, looking to make a name for themselves. Have you been surprised with some of the matchmaking and ultimately the fact that you got this fight?
No, no, UFC is like very merit based in a lot of
Mm,
ways, and you got to win the fights. You know, they don't like yeah, for sure it matters that he's Jose Aldo, but he's still got to like. It's a funny thing because even let's say like now people are always asking me, aren't you so happy that you're fighting Jose Aldo in Montreal? Isn't it so great and fantastic? Yeah, it's gonna be great when I beat him.
yes.
But it can also be, the worst
Yeah.
time of my life. If I, like something terrible could be like, I don't know, I accidentally poke him in the eye, or he accidentally pokes me in the eye, and the fight stops. No
Mm,
contest. Round one, 30 seconds in. We didn't even fight. Like we just couple of, like
mm.
it could still be sour, So yeah, like UFC, it's good in that sense that like you got to go out there and prove it time and time again. You got to keep reminding everybody. It's all about repeatability. Like if you can go out there and do it, you're gonna keep moving up. And I know like Aldo retired, so when he came back, they're like, okay, here, man. It's always a test.
Yeah.
Every fight's your biggest fight. So how he does in the fights, it reflects on the matchmaking they give him, I'm sure.
You made your professional debut in 2012. That same year, Jose Aldo defended the UFC title with a first round knockout over Chad Mendes later that year. What are
Yeah.
your memories of watching Jose Aldo as you've progressed in your own career?
Yeah, no, he's really good. My team is 0-2 against him.
Mm,
Kenny was happy I got the matchup. He told me you
mm,
got to get him for me. Rob Font's happy I got the matchup. I'm out there. It's nice that I get to use their experiences to prepare for Aldo. And Aldo's a great fighter. I've always been entertaining. Loved his fights. And I loved his low kicks. I loved his durability and the action that he provided for the fans was incredible. He had some of the most memorable fights. And yeah, it's gonna be nice to fight him and get my name next to his name. What's funny is that like when I got the Aldo name, okay, I was in the car with my friend Enrico, and Enrico is one of the few guys who beat Boacao. And he
wow.
beat Boacao when he was 22. When Enrico was 22, he beat Boacao. And when I got the name, I couldn't have been next to a better guy, a better
Mm,
teammate to be like, yo, this is your chance. And then he beat Balcao 22. Who's to say I can't beat Aldo now?
mm.
Who's to say? And it was nice to have him back me and be like, you know what, doesn't matter who he is. And GSP told me the same thing. And I'm lucky to have friends who've achieved a lot, and I get to meet a lot of people. I travel for training too, and cross train with a lot of athletes, and a lot of guys who've been counted out have won. So it doesn't matter how many people count me out. In the end, nobody fights for Aldo. It's gonna be me and him in there.
Do you feel like you're being counted out in this one?
I feel like it's awkward. I feel like it's awkward, and what I mean by that is like Aldo has a lot of fans, man,
Mm,
and he is a star. He's world renowned, and it's deservedly so. Like I think he's one of the greatest for sure. And it's like even guys in my gym, like when I first got the fight. Some people will walk up to me and be like, listen, I love Aldo, I love you, so I'm rooting for you, but don't hurt him. But I'm like, what do you mean don't hurt him? What do
mm.
you mean? Listen, the guy's gonna try to rip my head off. Like for him, it's for Aldo, it's still a big deal. Every fight's a big deal. Every fight matters. He wants that check. He wants the two checks. I mean, you know
Mm,
what I mean? Because you get
of
the
course.
win. And if you could knock me out and get even more money, get viral videos and do all that, he's coming in, and he's ripping my head off, man. Like, so yeah, that's what I found weird. Like, yeah, people are there for me, but I don't know how they're gonna be. But my main team is my main team, and those people I have no doubt with. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Has there been any specific advice from the likes of Kenny or Rob or even your teammate Enrique in the story you just given and how to
Yeah,
kind of approach this moment, both tactically but also emotionally?
yeah. Actually, Kenny Florian gave me like a huge breakdown of Aldo, which was awesome. Line by line, he went through like the different aspects of Aldo. I went through my aspects too, and then he compared them, and he kind of gave me like his idea of a game plan. And it's interesting because depending on who you are, your character, and the skills you've attained throughout your career. When you watch fights, certain things stick out to you, and there are some things you're blind to because you don't know,
Mm,
so you can't see everything, right? So it's like when I get a fight like Aldo, I'm blessed to have a lot of eyes watch the fights and tell me what they see.
yes.
And there are sometimes gems, even if it's just one difference, but that one gem I could not, maybe I can't see it,
Mm,
or for us can't see it, or Rob can't see it. So Rob told me things that I know now that Kenny couldn't tell me,
Yes, of course.
and Kenny and Rob had some really good insight about the whole thing. And it was good because like now that me and Rob train together, Rob knows my style really well. It's been a
Mm,
year now. We're sparring together a lot, and he can talk to me in the way that I talk about fighting. So when he broke down out, when I asked him for his advice or what he thinks about the matchup, he told it to me in the way that I understand it too. So like I feel like I'm coming in there with a good solid game plan, but I'm also ready to change the cards as the fight goes on. I'm ready to adapt. Like I've said in other interviews before. I don't know if you've heard, but like when I first started out, I wanted such a rigid game plan. But
mm,
then as your opponents get better, they start game planning for you. So when you go out there, they fight different than you've seen in the tape. And I don't want to be like nervous that, oh, now that they're fighting different, I have no plan. So I keep like have like the big pieces are in place and the tactics differ from the strategy. Like so I have the strategy, I have a general strategy, but I have different tactics to execute the overall game plan. So if
mm.
things change in the fight, we still have a wide variety of tactics to win.
Is that kind of preparation of tactics? Because obviously I've heard a lot of media that your brother Faraz has done. I remember his appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast a few years ago now. Is that something a kind of mindset that you both share, or is that one that you kind of had to learn over the years between each other?
Yeah, I think we learned that over the years. Also because we have a good roster of guys like from amateur to pro,
Mm,
and so we're always coaching guys. Like for us, is cornering fighters every weekend, every couple of weeks.
mm,
When we go to like let's say if there's a Montreal event, he's cornering five guys that night. So we get a lot of experience cornering guys, and we've that's something that's like been trending in a way is that as the opponents get better, they're game planning for us. So it's hard to know exactly how they're going to show up. And I remember like the one that stuck out the most for me was the Ricky Tercios fight. Like I was so adamant. Ricky's gonna come out there and bang and go toe to toe. It's gonna be a barn burner. But the entire fight, he didn't want to give me his head. He didn't want to put his head in
mm.
the exchange zone, whereas normally he doesn't care and he just goes in and he doesn't mind that medium range. So it kind of was like I had to adapt in the fight. And so now that's like it's just throughout experience and working on it, we figured out, what? Whoever can adapt the best wins.
Mm,
Because you can game plan as much as you want, but if the guy comes and does something out of left field,
of course.
now it's like all your game planning is out the window,
Mm.
right? So you have to be nimble of mind. You have to be flexible of mind.
What do you feel like a win over Jose Aldo unlocks for you next? I mean, obviously, I think he's ranked number 11, so a couple of spots higher than
Yeah.
you. But I still feel like getting the Jose Aldo name on your record carries a little bit more than just a higher rank. And what do you feel like you get out of a win at UFC 315?
Yeah, I think it really boosts me in a lot of different ways. For sure, gonna get the two checks, man. I got
Mm.
kids. That's gonna be nice. But I think it'll give me more believers, because a lot of people aren't sure, aren't sure. Even during my fight against Pedro, I saw one of the tweets when they came up on the side there. It was like, there's such a high-paced fight. It's going to be outside of Aimann's comfort zone. Like people still don't know who I am
Mm.
as a fighter. They don't, they haven't seen a lot of me, there's not a lot of tape. Like I haven't spent that much time in the octagon, and it's just going to give me that credibility, and it's gonna help allow me to showcase my skills. Like I think me and Aldo we're gonna have a chess match on the feet, and it's gonna give people a better idea of how good of a striker I am.
Well, I'll leave you with this one final question,
Yeah,
and thank you for your time. Talk me through what a perfect day looks like on the 10th of May as you envisage it, as you visualize the perfect day. Talk me through what happens morning tonight.
I wake up rested Saturday morning.
Mm.
I wake up super rested. I have a nice breakfast. I get all my carbs down. I get my shakeout goes well. I take a nice nap. I wake up. We go to the venue. Warm up again nicely and lock in. Like I become numb to everything, the cameras, the lights, the moment, the everything. Nothing matters. I go out there. I make my walk. I beat Aldo in impressive fashion. The crowd goes crazy. They raise my hand. And then I go out and I'm going to be out with like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 100 people are going to be ready to celebrate. And we're going to try to find a restaurant open late. to serve us some steaks, that would be the dream. That's the perfect night for me.
I love it. Aiemann, great to
Yeah.
see you back in this big fight.
Thank you.
Have a great and safe rest of camp, and best of luck for the next fight.
Thanks for the interview. I really appreciate it.